Okay, good morning, everybody. Thank you all so much for joining us on today's installation of Self-Directed Saturday. And today we have a good friend of mine, a good friend of Quest, Don Pendleton, with us, who's going to be talking about how to bulletproof your retirement savings, specifically looking at asset protection. Don is an expert in tax reduction and a lot of these legal areas that relate to our financial well-being. So we're going to bring him up here in just a moment. I've got a couple items I want to go through, and then we'll bring Don up here shortly. So really quick disclaimer, if y'all are familiar with Quest, if you've been on our presentations in the past, I'm certain this is something you've seen or heard before. It's a disclaimer we give before all of our presentations. But with that being said, Quest Trust Company does not provide any sort of tax, legal, investment, or deal structuring advice, and we don't endorse any particular service, product, company, whatever that may be, right? So keep this in mind as we go through the presentation, that this is truly for educational purposes. And Don really is one of the best in the country when it comes to educating on this topic, talking about asset protection. So just to give a brief introduction for Don before we do bring him up, like I mentioned, he's an expert in lawsuit protection, tax reduction, and estate planning. Those are some of the key areas that he focuses on educating and with his clients as well. He's regularly a featured speaker during numerous seminars and workshops regarding asset protection and kind of the subjects surrounding that as well. And he's also co-authored multiple books and articles on these matters in addition to that. So he truly strives, and I've seen this firsthand, to help business owners, investors, and just professionals in general to save a ton of money. I mean, millions and millions of dollars. So he really is an expert at what he does and truly understands how to help people, reduce their taxes, how to protect your assets. So like I mentioned, Don has been a great friend of Quest for a long time. He and his team over at Protect Wealth recently hosted their summit that we spoke on, an incredible crowd. It's, I can't rave enough about Don. So without further ado, I am going to bring him up here as well. Let me remove this. Don, how are we this morning?
Good morning. Such a good day.
Oh,
Such
absolutely.
a good day.
Any day we can get on and educate the masses. It's a good one.
You know what it is? I'm an educator by heart, and I love, and I'm very passionate about this. Years ago, I got sued. I was running a recreation park down in Southern California. There was a drive-by shooting. A little 18-year-old girl got hit in the head, and I got sued because I was the manager on duty at the time. And I can't tell you the hell what we went through, the family, because of the uncertainty. Yeah, I'm pretty passionate about this.
Absolutely. And it's something dear to our heart as well, which is a mutual passion that we share. So we certainly appreciate your insight. One quick note, I forgot to mention this before we get started, and I'll let you share your screen in just a moment. We are going to have some time for Q&A at the very end, and I've got a couple Quest announcements to give everybody before that. So I will, Don, I'll let you take it from here, and we'll see you back after the presentation here in a little bit.
Let's see if we can figure this out.
Yeah, I'll stay on if you need to troubleshoot or anything. There we go.
Okay.
All right.
See that okay?
Yep.
All right. Perfect. I appreciate it. Thanks, Colin. Okay, let me introduce you to Bob. Bob is a really happy guy. He's friendly. He's the kind of person you want to go out to barbecues with. And he got into real estate a couple of years ago, the perfect real estate guy. He knows everybody in town. He's friendly. He's happy. He started wholesaling. Then he got into a little flipping. Now he owns 3 or 4 of his own properties. He tries to flip 2 or 3 houses a year in addition to what he's done. But he's flipping and he's holding and he's doing it wrong according to the IRS code. And what happened is after 2 or 3 years of flipping and holding, the IRS labeled him as a dealer in real estate. What does that mean? It means he's going to lose depreciation deductions on all of his properties for 3 years. It means that he's going to recapture the depreciation even on the years he didn't claim depreciation because the IRS wouldn't let him. But when he goes to sell the property, he still has to recapture it. All income, all rental properties, all income that he receives from his rental properties is going to be subject to self-employment tax. It's going to be not passive income, but active income. All gains will be considered short-term, even if he held a property 2 or 3 years, and even retroactive. Last year he sold a property. You thought it was going to be long-term, no, short-term capital gains. He loses the ability to do a 1031 exchange, even retroactive. Last year, he did a 1031 exchange. Nope, the IRS doesn't count it. They disregard that. And remember, last year, he sold one property on a 6-year note. The IRS is going to claim it as though he received all of the money up front and paid the taxes, even though he didn't receive the money. Are you kidding me? Bob is a really friendly, happy guy, but he's stupid when it comes to tax and legal. What I'm going to try to do in the next hour is cover 4 basic subjects that I believe can kill a real estate investor or any investor. Number 1 problem is income taxes. Number 2 is probate and estate taxes. These probate and estate taxes, after you've paid your taxes your whole life, now the government, unless you've got a better plan, is going to tax you again. But probate and estate taxes are 100% optional if you will use the proper tools in a timely fashion. Jackie Kennedy died with a $93 million estate. 0 probate, 0 in estate taxes. We can take anybody's estate if you allow us to do it in a timely fashion, not a deathbed creation, and avoid probate and estate taxes. They're optional. And then there's capital gains taxes that can suck out the life of blood of your investing. And you wonder why at the end of your life, why you don't have any money, because you were paying a little bit of taxes all the way along the line and it killed you. I'll show you how that works. Lawsuits is the number 4, and these aren't in any particular order. Lawsuits are kind of the unexpected thing where you kind of get hit over the head with a crowbar. Didn't see that one coming. And lawsuits can absolutely wipe out an estate. So let's hit those, and we're going to hit them kind of one at a time. My name, as Colin mentioned, is Don Pendleton. I'm not an attorney, but I've been surrounded by some of the best attorneys and CPAs in the nation. I've written 5 textbooks, or co-authored at least 5. And these aren't wussy little, ebooks. These are textbooks that are used in law firms and by real estate investors all over the nation. And so, in fact, the last book, the Asset Protection Handbook, has now sold over 500,000 copies. This is not, this is what I do. I've also run an asset protection hotline for 25 years and answered tens of thousands of questions. So that's my background. I'm not an attorney, but I've got some of the best attorneys in the nation that I can call when we have questions. We run the longest running asset protection class anywhere in the nation. The theme of the class is a lifetime to accumulate, 3 days to protect. I'll tell you about it at the end. And we're bringing in some of the best instructors anywhere in the nation. We call them the America's Defensive Coordinators because they sort of are. Okay, as Colin mentioned, I'm going to throw out a lot of ideas. Not everything applies to you. We always suggest you run something past your professionals. Okay, so let's start with problem number 1, and that is income taxes. If you're serious about reducing your taxes, there are 3 things you have to do. And I'm going to give you these rules kind of in order, I believe. So rule number 1 is recognize that there are toll roads and there are free roads all the way through the tax system. The IRS doesn't care which road you ride on, just obey the laws on the road. If you have a business, I don't care if you keep your mileage log or not. One is free, one I don't have time. I don't keep a mileage log. Okay, then pay the tax. Okay, whoa, do you have a retirement plan? Well, you can either pay the toll or you can toll roads or free roads. I don't care which one you do, but there's no blinky happy signs on the toll roads. I'm sorry, on the freeways. In fact, a lot of the time they don't even tell you that there's a free road there, but there are free roads. And if you obey the laws, oh, there's so many free roads out there if you just learn a little bit about the tax code. Number 2 rule is that there are 2 sets of rules in the IRS code. One is for those who have a business and those who don't. I used to think it was for those who have those for the rich and those for the poor. It doesn't work that way, although there might be some rules, but it's for those who have a business and those who don't. Let me simplify this the very best I can to teach you a principle. If I receive money as a W-2 employee, so I'm an employee, I receive the money, the very first thing that I pay is I pay my taxes. In fact, it's automatically withdrawn. Let's say between state and federal, I pay 27%. Let's suppose my expenses are about $70,000. That gives you a whopping $6,000 to invest or to save for retirement. Whoop-de-doo. But let's look at business taxes. Very different. Look at the gross income, still the same. The expenses are still the same, but now I'm not going to be taxed on the 100,000. I'm going to be taxed on the 30,000. Whoa. Therefore, I would probably be in lower tax brackets. Let's say a straight 21%. That gives you $23,000 to save for retirement or to invest. That's a big difference, especially if it's accumulated year after year after year after year. So let's summarize this real quick. If I don't have a business, I'm going to earn it, pay the taxes, and then I get to spend what's left over. If I had a business, I could earn it, spend it, and then pay taxes. Well, I'm not real brilliant at this tax game, but I really like the right side a whole bunch better than the left side. But I'm also smart enough to know that I can't call everything in life a business deduction. But my goal is to always move as many things as I can from the left side of the screen over to the right side of the screen and call it a business deduction. I'll give you lots of examples of that in a minute. Okay. Number 3 rule. You have to stop thinking, oh, I got a refund. I'm winning the tax game. Has nothing to do with it. Zero, nothing. You paid too much in taxes and they gave you your money back. That's all it is. What I need you to do is start tracking from year to year to year to year your effective tax rate. Your effective tax rate is I'm taking the taxes you paid dividing by the income that you made. That's it. Track it. What's your effective tax rate? Let me give you a couple examples. LeBron James, a couple of years ago, made $124 million as a W-2 employee. It's reported that he paid $43 million in taxes. So we divide the two. He's paying about 35% of his income in taxes. Okay. Look at the business owners who are savvy, who consider a different set of rules. Business, Elon Musk, 3.2 effective tax rate, 1.3 for Mike Warren, less than 1%. See the difference? 2 different sets of rules, and we're tracking the effective tax rate. Stop thinking you're winning if you got a refund. Nothing to do with it. Okay, those are the 3 basic rules, and we'll show you this again and again and again. The biggest tax, so this is tax tip number 1. The biggest tax tip I've got for you is to put more money into your retirement accounts. And a lot of you go, well, I can only put $7,000, $8,000 if I'm over 50. And so like whoop-de-doo, it's just not going to add up very fast. Well, maybe we're considering the types of, okay, these are for individuals, but what if I have a business? Remember, tax rule number 2 is to have some type of a business. I don't care what it is. Take something, a hobby, and turn it into with the intent to make a profit. That's how the IRS determines what is a business. the intent to make a profit. So now I could be putting up $69,000 into a retirement program. Oh, and then I start investing it. Now, all of these are called what's called a defined contribution plan, because the IRS or Congress is defining the amount of that you can put into it. But there's also a plan for businesses where it works backwards. It says, okay, you're 59 and a half, and you haven't saved enough for retirement, so let's work backwards. This is called the defined benefit plan. It says, okay, it's allowing business owners to put in up to $275,000 a year. I've helped several individuals put in that amount and sometimes even more, $300,000 expense from their business, tax free to them, because the IRS says you can. But that's a little free road that nobody told you about. And you're thinking, I can only put in $7,000. It's not worth it. Oh, baby, you're missing the free roads there. Okay. Number 2 tax tip. A lot of you are not understanding the value of real estate losses, because the word losses, you shun it. We stay away from that. I don't want to lose money. Good. I don't want you to ever lose money in real estate either. But the term is misleading. Let me explain real estate losses and why I consider it to be the number 2 tax tip. Okay. Let's say you invested $600,000 in a piece of property. This is not in your IRA. It won't work in an IRA, but it does work in your own name or your own LLC. Okay. If you buy a property for $600,000, and it doesn't matter whether it's mortgaged or not, you pay cash. Yeah, it doesn't make a difference. Your tax impact would be this. I can't depreciate the land. The land is what it is. The building, however, I can depreciate either if it's residential over 27 and a half years, or if it's commercial over 39 years. This is a piece of property. This is a rental real estate you bought for investment purposes. What's your tax impact this year? You get to show a 16, if that's the only thing that happened. I know there's property taxes. I know there's rents you collected and expenses, but let's assume we're just looking at that one transaction. The IRS is going to say, oh, you have a $16,000 loss. We took what was in blue, the building, the 450 divided by 27 and a half. You show a $16,000 loss in real estate. You can take that loss against any other investment income, stock market, gold and silver, oil, gas, I don't care, any other investment income that you made, and write it off. If you can write up to $3,000 against W-2 income. And if you've got a bigger loss than you can use, you can roll that forward to future years. Is there anybody that couldn't use a $16,000 loss this year? That'd be cool. I would like that. But let's look at it a little differently. This was a turnkey property. What if it were a fixer-upper? I still put $600,000 in, but now the IRS is going to look at it a little bit differently. I still can't depreciate the land, but I'm going to take the building and the improvements. I'm going to separate the improvements from the repairs. I'm going to take what's in blue, divide that by 27 and a half. That's my depreciation for this year. Well, I like the other one better. Well, so do I. But what happened to the repairs? Oh, as long as you put this building in service, ready to rent, by the end of the year, I get to claim all of that loss this year, $160,000 in real. Ooh, baby, that goes against any other investment income. $3,000 I can use against W-2 income. The bigger loss I can roll forward to future years. Oh, baby. And then if that's not good enough, now we add in a little thing called cost segregation. And saying, I don't want to wait 27 and a half years. I want to segregate, and I want to look at the 5-year assets, the things that are going to wear out in 5 years. And we're going to bring in a consultant specialized in cost seg, and we're going to put a price on every piece of carpet, the cabinets, the blinds. We're going to look at anything that might wear out within 5 to 7 years. And with bonus depreciation, and I'll explain that in a second, we should be able to write off all of that this year. Now I also put a price tag on every tree, every shrub, anything that the parking lots, the curbs, the gutters, anything that might wear out within 15 years, and say, you know what, I want to cost seg that too with bonus depreciation. Most of that we should be able to write off this year. Let me show you how this pencils out. Okay, I'm still going to invest $600,000. I still can't depreciate the land. The land is what it is, whether the building's there or not, doesn't matter. I'm going to take the building and split it up a little bit. I'm going to take the improvement, split that up a little bit. Here's the repairs. I'm still spending $600,000. And again, it doesn't matter whether I financed it, used other people's money or not. It doesn't matter. Here's the tax impact you would have. This year, my depreciation, I'm taking what's in blue, dividing it by 27.5. My depreciation is $5,000. I still get to I claim the repairs as long as I'm putting it in service this year. And then I also get to claim what's in gold this year, showing a $305,000 loss in real estate. Are you kidding me? This is how Trump says I didn't owe any taxes because I had so many losses rolling forward from future years. We have students all the time that made $1 million in the stock market that used real estate losses to offset that income and not pay taxes. Whoa, baby, because the IRS says you can. I don't want you to lose money in real estate, but real estate losses are a huge part of saving money on taxes. This is how sophisticated real estate investors invest. Okay. Number 3 tax tip. We need to find a way to write off some of your medical expenses because most of us can't write off medical expenses because we either don't itemize, or if we do itemize, our medical expenses don't add up to 7.5% of your adjusted gross income. But if we have a business, and it doesn't matter if it's a corporation, LLC, partnership, it doesn't matter if it's a sole proprietorship, I have the intent to make a profit. I'm claiming that I have a business. You can write off insurance premiums. I see so many people missing that because they didn't know that it could be a business expense. However, if we had a C corporation or an LLC taxed as a C corporation, and we adopted into the bylaws a 105 medical reimbursement plan now for you and your dependents, you could be writing off 100% of deductibles, co-payments, prescriptions, herbs, supplements. Doesn't matter. Anything there that you see, vision, mileage to and from the doctor, the dentist, specialty foods, I can write all that stuff off because the IRS says I can. You pay for it personally, request a reimbursement, and the company pays you, expense for the business, tax-free to you. Because the free road is there, but maybe you didn't know about it. I love HSA. Maybe an C Corp doesn't make sense to you, but maybe a health savings account does. This is one of the unique things that's a triple tax-free environment. Most of you know that if you had a traditional IRA, you get the deduction at the beginning, you get tax-free growth, but someday you got to pay the tax, not on the seed, but on the harvest. The Roth IRA is a little backwards. The Roth IRA, you pay the taxes now, but then you get tax-free growth and you get tax-free distributions. But the health savings account is different. I get a deduction going in, I get tax-free growth, and as long as I'm using it for medical expenses at the end, I get to deduct 100% of it. And here's the dirty little secret that nobody's telling you, is that you can self-direct these things, and it could partner on a real estate deal. It could buy tax liens or tax deeds or oil or gas, whatever you want to do, and Quest is an expert at helping you self-direct these things. Oh, baby, they didn't tell you that free road? That's in the tax code. And here's your contribution limit. So if you're over 50 like me and a little gray hair, be putting $9,300 a year into this and let it self-direct. That's cool. Some of you aren't writing your cell phones off because right there in the IRS code says if you write it off as a business expense, Now you have to keep a log. This is personal. This is business. Nobody wants to keep a log, but you're not paying. Your accountants are paying attention to what it says in the code. They're not looking at the IRS revenue ruling that came out that interprets the code that says if a business requires you to have a cell phone, deduct it without the need for record keeping. And there's the IRS notice that you notice all my I'm giving you the tax code or the revenue ruling or the or whatever. I'm giving you this. I'm not making this up and pulling it out of thin air. Some of you are not. So tax tip number, I don't know, whatever we're on now. Tax tip, I see wealthy people all the time shifting income from their high tax brackets to non-existent tax brackets, which would be their kids, their grandkids. Because kids can receive this year up to $14,600 without paying any income taxes. Well, that's cool. What would I pay them for? I don't know. Make up something. That could be accounting, bookkeeping. It could be a 3-year-old could walk into your business and do better client morale than you could. Maybe take a picture of them, put them on your website. Maybe, I don't know, do something, find a way. We call it a modeling fee. You notice there's a difference in color. Some are passive activities. That's a different set of rules. But for active income, where they're active, they could be making up to $14,600, not pay taxes. First thing I would do, dang it, that's my son, that's my grandson, William. He shows up every once in a while. And we have a contract that every time we do between me and him, or my business and him, every time we show his picture, I have to pay him $200. It's a modeling or I don't know fee. And sometimes I get the buttons wrong anyway. So the first thing I would do is I would set up a Roth IRA for the kids. They have earned income. Great. They could be contributing. This would be a triple tax-free environment for them because they didn't owe taxes, but it's a Roth, so it's tax-free growth, tax-free contribution, tax-free when they pull it out. Kids can pull it out for education. They can pull it out for emergency medical. They can pull it out for the first-time home buyer. If not, it's a retirement account. But it's triple tax-free because they didn't pay taxes going in. And then after that, their birthday presents. Birthday presents, let me be clear, are not tax deductible. But if you're using the kid's ATM card and it was tax-free money going in, isn't that sort of the same thing? So start using the kids' non-existent tax brackets, kids and grandkids. And entertainment, most of you know, we can't deduct that out of the business. Got that. Used to be able to, can't do that anymore. However, you know that you could take the same activities, and if it were called a team building activity or a holiday party or an annual picnic or a summer outing, then the same activity could be 100% tax deductible. Most of you know that meals, restaurant meals, no longer tax deductible, well, up to 50%. However, if we called them maybe something different, then 100%. See, some of you are going right now, I think I really have a stupid accountant. No, you don't have a stupid accountant. Well, I don't know if you do or not, but I'm assuming you don't. Sometimes you're giving them the wrong information. Ladies that are on the call, look at the purse you have. Some of you have little tiny purses that but might fit a cell phone case. Some of you got a little purse but it could fit a tablet. Some of you have a big whopping purse that would probably fit the whole tower. You know, my wife does not own a single purse. That is true. She has a closet full of computer bags. Computer bags are tax deductible for her business. Purses are not. How you see the expense, is this a vacation or is this a business trip? Is this a monitor for your computer or is it a large screen TV to watch the Super Bowl? Is this a tablet for business or personal? Is this a guard dog for your business or is this a puppy? I'm being a little flippant, but But one is tax deductible, one is not. What's the purpose of this meal? What's the purpose of the mileage or purchasing the vehicle? Sometimes you're giving your accountant the wrong information. And I'm spending too much time on taxes. Home office deduction, great deduction. 10% of my office or my home is exclusively used for business. Therefore, I can write off 10% of the mortgage, 10% of the property taxes, maintenance, repairs, landscaping, 10%. Or I could simplify and just go $5 a square foot. Love that. Mileage logs. A lot of you aren't keeping mileage logs. Toll road, free road, but you'd be amazed at how fast that adds up. And then look at great big companies. Look at the tax perks that they have for their officers, for their employees. If you're structured right, anything that they can claim in the big businesses, well, almost without exception, you could claim as if we just structured your business correctly so that you can take advantage of the tax code. I love the tax code, but I also don't have a lot of time to talk about. Oh, there's William again. Darn it. Okay, there's that number 4, and oh, there's his 2-week-old cousin. That's Sadie, another I love grandkids, but I have to pay them, darn it, every time they show up on my screen. Okay, tax tips. Okay, let's move on to probate and estate taxes. I hate probate. My wife's family owned a multi-billion-dollar estate, and if I had time, I'd tell you a lot more about it. But the heirs to the estate fought over it for 19 years. At the end, each one of the heirs received a check for a little over $5,000. The rest of the estate went to estate taxes and realtor commissions, and it went to attorneys, and it went to trustees and executors, and it went to everyone else except to the family. They lost a multi-billion-dollar estate in the San Bernardino Valley because because they didn't have a better plan. You can have a better plan. Most of you understand that if you own real estate, if you have any assets at all, we probably ought to have a revocable trust. That's pretty common knowledge. We can spend a lot of time at our next events and talk about this, but I consider it to be like your big Tupperware bowl. All of you have a big popcorn Tupperware bowl, but you never put it in the cabinet empty. You put all little Tupperware bowls inside, nest them inside of each other, put the lid on, shove it away in the cabinet. Okay, that's your trust. And most of you understand that their house probably ought to be retitled in the name of the trust, your bank accounts, your brokerage accounts, and so that if then when you die, there's clear title because the trust didn't die. It continues on and it follows the babysitting instructions that you created, and then it passes on to the heirs without probate. It's not no matter of public record, no fine, no expenses. You might have a trustee fee or something, but it's not a matter of public record. It's not going to take 6 to 10% of the asset value to get it into probate because you didn't have a better plan or get it to the beneficiary. If you have rental properties, it ought to be in the trust of somehow, maybe in an LLC first. But if you've got cars, we could retitle those in the name of the trust. What we're not good at telling you is that we could take an IRA. For my IRA, I'm the primary beneficiary. I set up my IRA for me when I retired, but my wife is listed as the contingent beneficiary. But beyond that, and we got 5 kids, we listed the second contingent to be the trust, so that everything goes into the trust. The trust is where we establish values and say, we believe in education. We believe in traditional marriage. We believe in, we believe in military service. We believe in, and so if you want assets out of the trust, I'm sorry, you're going to have to read the Bible 2 times before you get anything. And I don't know, whatever. Or if you move to a community property state, or if you get a divorce, I'm sorry, we're not going to split assets. Or if there's a judgment creditor, the trustee can't distribute until that judgment goes away. Well, see, it's in the trust where we don't dump money on an 18-year-old kid. We could take a life insurance policy, My life insurance policy, okay, I'm not the primary beneficiary because I'm dead at this point. My wife's the primary, but the trust is the contingent beneficiary. And everything dumps into the trust, the big Tupperware bowl. And most of you sort of kind of understand how trusts work, whether you funded it or not, I don't know, whatever. But here's where most of our students come lacking. I had a lady a few years ago. They owned a water drilling company down in Texas. Okay, so they would come in and drill a water well on your land. It was about a $4 million business. Husband dies. Wife, oh, wait, but they didn't own the water drilling company. She's a widow, 38 years old, the 4 little kids. They didn't own the company. He owned the company. It was a single member LLC. Who owns the company now? Well, it's going to go through 9 to 12 months of Texas probate, and that company may not be worth $4 million. We always take your interest in businesses. I've got a 40% interest in this LLC, a 50% interest in this corporation. I own 100% of this. We always tie those into a succession plan. And that's where most of you, I believe, are lacking, in that we're not tying business entities into a trust or a succession plan of some time. They will go through probate, and you're creating a mess for your kids when you do that. When we teach summits, we always spend at least a couple hours teaching you how to fund, not only create the trust, but how to fund it, how to put assets in so that they avoid probate. Capital gains taxes. I'm going to hit this one really fast. Here's your basic capital gain. You can pay the toll. Short-term capital gains taxes are taxed at ordinary income tax rates. If you've owned the asset more than a year, you're going to be in one of those tax brackets. And then there's also state taxes. And some of you go, yeah, but I'm probably about a 15%. Let me show you what 15% will do to your estate. And I don't know if Colin, I don't know if I've shown you this in the past. We take $1, we double it. Becomes 2, becomes 4, we double it. How many times do we have to double it as an investor before it comes $1 million? Well, it's not hard math. We just double it 20 times. We've got $1 million. Is it possible in a lifetime of trading, buying and selling real estate, stocks, whatever you're buying and selling, that you could double your money 20 times? Yeah, absolutely. But remember, this is without taxes. What if we only paid 15% tax? So we take our dollar and we double it. Okay, but instead of having $2, we have $1.85 because we paid 15 cents to the government. Now I'm okay because the government, are you okay with that? We have a military, we have, we do some charitable things, we have an education system, and we, I don't know, we try to do good things. We've got a freeway system that, pothole now and then, but we have it. And it takes money to run the government. I understand that. So most people go, yeah, I'm okay with that. But look what it does. We take the next time we double it, $1.85, double it. And now we're just taking out 15% every time we double it. Look what happens after 20 trades. You buy, sell, you're flipping houses, you're doing real estate deals, you're doing whatever you're doing. But at the end of 20 trades, you're either going to have $1 million or you're going to have $220,000. The long-term effect of you paying capital gains taxes is you don't have enough money working for you. Now are you mad about paying taxes? You ought to be. You ought to be screaming mad. I mean, let's not pick at the White House again. You ought to be screaming mad, but that's not the whole story, because most of you live in a state with an additional capital gains tax. Do you kind of understand that? For instance, if I lived in Arizona, it's only less than 2% additional capital gains tax. But at the end of 20 trades, instead of having $1 million, I'd have 179,000. If I lived in Pennsylvania, I'd have 154. Oklahoma, 131. This is not going in a real good direction. Rhode Island, 6%. I'd have 114. Oregon, 73. New Jersey, 6. This is really not going in a good direction. At the end of 20 trades in California, I'd have $49,000 and be scratching my head going, I don't understand why I don't have any money for retirement, because you weren't using tax-free environments. And you remember I told you tax tip number 3 is that you should be, or tax tip number 1, you need to be using tax-free environments to build your wealth. I love Quest. I love what they do. But a lot of you are not taking the opportunity to put enough money into tax-free environments, and instead you're paying the taxes. Are you kidding me? And you're wondering why we don't have enough money. Tax-free environments does work. Okay. And at the next summit, we always teach 10 or 9 or 10 or 11 different capital gains free roads. Here's the free road. If you want to avoid the tax, here's how we do it. The number 1, qualified retirement accounts, and use those. Okay. Lawsuits. And then we'll take a little time for questions. There are some simple things that we can be doing to avoid lawsuits, or at least absolutely mitigate. Let's take this activity and silo it so that if anything happens, it's not going to topple our estate like dominoes. In other words, it's time to play defense, because most of you, your whole life, I've learned to play offense. I'll score points, make money. That's good. That's exciting. Defense is not sexy. But you remember the old adage that offense wins games, but defense wins championships. It's time to play a little defense. And the problem that we have is some of the dumb advice that investors and regular people are getting all the time. You're going to your accountant who's looking at the tax side, but is not looking at the asset protection side. Or you go to an attorney who's really specialized in estate planning, but who cares if you lose it right now in a lawsuit? You've got to have advisors that look at all 3. I'm looking at tax savings along the way. I'm looking at lawsuit protection, and I tie everything into an estate plan. And if you've got an advisor that's not doing all 3, she's giving you some really bad advice. Here's some of the things that I hear on the hotline. Just carry more insurance. You don't need legal entities. Just carry more insurance. Are you kidding me? Look at your insurance policy and all the things that they exclude. Know that the highest paid attorneys aren't going to be working for you. They're going to be working for the insurance companies. Insurance companies make lots of money. They build lots of big buildings, beautiful buildings. They have lots of benefits for their employees. How do they do it? They're collecting premiums and denying claims, and they're good at it. And your homeowner's insurance, read the policy. It's probably 35 pages long. Here's the first 3 pages. Here's what we will cover, and the rest are exclusions and exemptions and definitions, so that you get it. Okay. Hold all your rental properties in an S corporation. Well, that's a really good idea until, oh, wait a minute, until you die, and then the kids don't get a step up in basis. Let's hold all your rentals in a C corporation. The depreciation deductions don't flow through you. The real estate losses don't flow to you. They're captured in a C corp. Why would you ever do that? You wouldn't. Corporations don't provide good asset protection. They provide corporate veil protection. So if something happens inside, it can contain the risk and not go after the officers and directors. That's good. That's called corporate veil protection. But it's not charging order protection. If I sue you and I get a judgment against you, one of the assets that is in your name is the stock of that corporation. Could I seize that, and now I take control of the corporation? Oh, baby. Corporations are a great tax tip, but they're not. They were never designed for charging order protection in a personal lawsuit. That would be dumb, to hold all your properties in a C corp. Put your home, your personal residence, in an LLC to protect it. Great, and then you lose your capital gain exclusion. Then you lose your mortgage interest. Then Then we have problems with a property tax reassessment. And then there's so many problems with that. Don't do that. Single member LLCs protect assets. Well, that's true in 43 states. Oh, wait, no. 43 states don't provide. So live in Florida. I set all my rental properties in single member LLCs. I'm the single member. They're great. My accountant told me that I could do that because I don't have file tax returns. Everything flows through my 1040 Schedule E. Great. It's just simple. Gives you good corporate, gives you good asset protection. No, it can contain risk. But in a personal lawsuit, I'll come take every one of those because most of your states, 43 states, will treat a single member LLC as a disregarded, invisible entity, an alter ego of you. Therefore, I'll come wipe that out and I'll take all those single member LLCs away from you. Only 7 states now offer charging order protection for single member LLCs. But they didn't tell you that because they didn't know the difference between charging order and corporate veil protection, and you just lost your whole portfolio. Put all your assets in your spouse's name. That's a good idea. Until there's a divorce, or until you live in a state that says, you know what? Yeah, I know that house is in her name, but you're getting the benefit. You go there every day. I know the bank account's in your name, in her name, but you have signature power. You have all the rights that you know that's not going to work for you. And then here's one of the stupidest things that I hear all the time. IRAs are protected from lawsuits. No, 401ks, pension plans are protected from lawsuits. IRAs are not. Let me show you some of the funky little rules that exist. IRAs are protected by state law. Let me show you how this works. Here are states that, like in California, Georgia, Kentucky, Nebraska, they limit the amount of protection up to the amount that the judge feels is reasonable. You've got more than you need, and so we're going to give this to the plaintiff and say, yeah, that's more than what you need. Some states, 4 states, will limit your protection to $1 million. Minnesota limits your protection in your IRA to see. Are you kidding me? To $69,000, and then there's some states. 8 states will protect traditionals, but not Roths. Some states don't protect inherited IRAs. SEPs and Simples aren't protected in 4 states. Who makes these laws? I don't know. Contributions within a year are not protected in 3 states. Protections within or contributions within 3 years are not protected in Hawaii and Missouri. Contributions over $15,000. Well, what if I contributed $69,000 to my SEP? Nope, not protected in Pennsylvania. And here's one of the worst ones I've seen, and this, of course, it comes from California. The trustee, the owner, that's not Quest. That's because they're the custodian. You are the trustee. You're controlling it's self-directed IRA. You're controlling the assets. You're technically the trustee. Therefore, if a rental property gets in trouble, the trustee is 100% liable. We can teach you how to protect your IRAs, but IRAs are not automatically protected from lawsuits. Are you kidding me? Don't trust in that advice. There's the rules, there's the states. We can teach you how to do this. Let's talk about legal structures to protect, and then I'm getting a little low on time. So what we will often do is we will often use an operating company. This is an LLC or a corporation, and an LLC taxes a corporation. We take all the benefits that we can out of that. But then we take the stock certificates and tie that down to the trust. For me, my stock certificates aren't listed in my name. They would be listed as Don Pendleton, trustee of the Pendleton Family Trust. That would be so. Yes, I'm getting all the tax benefits. I'm deducting everything I can out of my operating companies, and then I move my interest, usually upon my death, or I assign my interest to my trust, so that if I die, my company, the company didn't die. I died, and the ownership is secured. I take all my LLCs, or limited partnerships. I own 40% of this, 100% of this, 90% of this, and I tie them down to a succession plan. That's the overall, but notice what I'm doing is I'm separating assets from each other, either each property or each small groups of properties, and I'm separating them out. Now the problem with this is I've got 5 tax returns, one for me, my 1040, one for the corporation, one for each LLC. What if we can simplify that and use a holding company? So now I've got 3 tax returns because single member LLCs don't file tax returns. So I've got one for the corporation, I've got one for me, and I might have one for that holding company. The trust doesn't file tax returns. Everything. So now I've got all the tax benefits of a corporation. I get all the benefits of separating assets, usually in LLCs, and everything flows through my trust. That picture right there is how we do asset protection. Some of you are using, let's go to IRAs. Great. So we use the same concept. We don't put 14 properties in one IRA. We might have each property is in its own IRA, or each groups of properties. Maybe we separate those out. Those wouldn't be tied to your management company, and the IRA doesn't have to tie into your trust. The IRA is a trust. We don't call it a trust, but it is a trust. And so we separate assets out. Now, we're here to teach. We're educators, but there's only so much time I have to do in an hour. And so I am inviting you to attend one of our 3-day classes. The next classes that we have are in August 5th, 6th, 7th. These are Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday classes. The theme of the class is a lifetime to accumulate, 3 days to protect. And so the only thing that we are asking, we're waiving membership or tuition. This used to be a $3,000 class when we were teaching it live, and we had to pay for travel and cookies and hotels, and we don't do that. It's a Zoom class, so we can invite you on for free. The only thing we ask is you come in and spend 3 days with us. Give us 3 days, and we're good at this. But don't come in and learn half of a legal strategy or half of a tax strategy, because then you become dangerous. So there's the classes. We do offer. We usually have Dr. William Danko, the co-author of The Millionaire Next Door. He may attend. I believe he's scheduled for at least the August event. And we give a copy of his new book, Richer Than a Millionaire. This is not a wussy little class. You can see the agenda in advance. If you're an attorney or an accountant and you're looking for continuing education credit, it's that good, but it wasn't designed for them. It was designed for the average businessman, the average real estate professional, the real estate investor, the average physician, anybody in a high risk of being sued. That's what we do. We invite you to attend, and so sign up right now. Colin, if you wouldn't mind putting that in their chat screen, so they just click on the link. It's protectwealth.com/live stream. And let's take a few minutes and just answer questions. Colin, what did I create any questions in the, wow, we went fast on this. I'm sorry for that, but there was a lot to cover.
No, Don, that's all right. I mean, a ton of great information and plenty of tax saving strategies that, I mean, individuals can use regarding not only, within an IRA account, but even outside of that too. So really a ton of great.
And I hope I didn't scare anybody off IRAs. Most of the time, the states offer some really good protections. Texas you can't take your guns, can't take your home, can't take your IRAs. But some of the states just have some funky little rules for that. So, All right.
So really quick, everybody continue to put your questions there in the chat. I do have just a couple announcements to run through. For anyone that is, maybe this is your first Quest webinar, or you've been looking into using our services for a little bit now, please, I've got a QR code on the next screen. Schedule some time to speak with us. We're happy to look at your, individual situation, what might be the best fit for you. And when it comes to alternative investments, I mean, Quest is, the place to do it, right? Through like Don mentioned, a tax-free environment where you can invest that money and let it grow. So you can scan that QR code, take some time, spend 15, 30 minutes with us. We're happy to discuss the IRA accounts, our services, what we offer, and see what might be the best fit for you. And the consultations are completely free. You can speak to myself, one of the other IRA specialists that are on our team here at Quest. One really, really big offer, this is actually kind of a one-time deal. We haven't done anything like this before, is for the Quest Expo. The Expo is the biggest conference that we host. The last one we did was back in 2022, September of 22. So we haven't had one for a little over a year and a half, 2 years now. Don is going to be speaking there. I think, Don, you've got a panel, you have a presentation as well.
And a booth. So you can sit down and ask questions. Yeah.
So Don will be there. Don's there to kind of help anybody with guidance, with questions. I think you even mentioned that you're happy to kind of look at even potentially some estate plans there, right?
Yep.
So $50 for the first 15 people that use this code. I'm going to put a link down in the chat here in just a moment. Click on that, GA50. It'll be in Dallas or the Irving area, Dallas, Fort Worth, this coming weekend. So the 27th through the 29th on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. If y'all can make it, if you're in town, in Texas especially, I highly encourage y'all to join us for the Expo. Don and plenty of other experts in their respective fields will be there for presentations and Q&A and panels and the like. So plenty of networking and investment sponsors and coaches and the people that you need on your team. So, right, Don's talking about your defensive team this entire morning or afternoon, depending on where you are. So, and then the very last thing, just briefly, is our current promotion that we have going on. So for anybody who does set up an account, you can potentially earn between $100 and $500 in account credit for funding your IRA and starting your investment portfolio on the private side. So that's just a little incentive that we have going on right now. But with that being said, let's see here. Don, I don't actually see any particular questions that have come through. But one thing I certainly kind of want to engage you on to leave everybody with today, at the very least, tell us a little bit more about how, maybe on a more individual or one-on-one basis, how you review plans with individuals and kind of how you coach them through some of these, tax reduction, asset protection, all of that sort of stuff.
Okay, so we are trainers. We're an education company. What do? We don't do anything. We don't do your taxes. We don't do your accounting. We don't do your legal work. But we're surrounded by some of the best attorneys in the nation. We really are. And so if you need copyrights, trademarks, patents, we'll get you to the right people. If you need LLCs and you need maybe we need a little anonymity with what we're doing. We need a good estate plan. We can get you to the right attorneys. We're surrounded by some of the best attorneys literally in the nation. At our next summit, we'll have Scott Estel. He's a former senior trial attorney from the IRS. He turned around almost 25 years ago, and he sued the IRS over 2,500 times. He doesn't lose tax cases. He just knows the game. He'll be teaching taxes. You want to know where the line is? There's the line. What could I push? We're bringing in the best asset protection specialists in the nation. We're bringing here's what's happening in the market. So how do we review it? We get you to the right people, and any one of the people will offer free consultations. You want a consultation? Let them go over. Let them look at what you do. The biggest thing, Colin, for me is knowing the difference between urgent and important. A lot of us consider, we know we should be doing an estate plan. We know we ought to be saving money on taxes, but the lawn needs to be mowed and the kids are whining and I've got to make more money. I've got to spend a little more time at work, and we don't spend enough time doing what's important because it's not urgent. Sometimes urgent is not important, and we encourage you take advantage of this tax code. Take advantage or the offer to attend our summit. I, their expo education is important, but it's never urgent. Is that fair?
Absolutely. And I was going to mention as well, we raved about the summit. I mean, the last one, I guess it was earlier this week.
Yeah, it
was fantastic. And I know, Don, you generally have hundreds, even thousands of people that register for and attend these summits, right? Because of the value that they get. I mean, it's free, right? So go to protectwealth.com/live stream, sign up for the summit. Don has a ton of value, a ton of expertise that is presented in this 3-day summit. So they really are hard to beat.
Yep. Thank you for that, Colin. And I appreciate Victor being in the background, keeping everything running, but I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Don, it's always a pleasure. Look forward to seeing you out at the expo here at the end of next week. Everybody else, join us if you're not already registered or haven't gotten your tickets yet. Again, that code, which I'll put up on the screen and I'll put down in the chat again, but that code is GA50. So for general admission tickets, only $50. Normally $450. So pretty big discount for the first 15 people.
I'll see you at the expo. I'm happy to sit down, answer questions individually if you'd like to, and we'll also have some nice chocolate candy for you. Anyway, we'll be there, Colin.
That's right. Go see Don at his booth. Join us for his presentation, and we'll see you all next week. Don, again, thank you for your time, and look forward to seeing you out there.
Thanks, Colin.
All right.
We'll see you later.
Take care. Yep. Enjoy your weekends.